Hi, everyone. So I hope that you can see me and you can hear me okay. Just to repeat what I just mentioned, if you have questions, you can put them in the little chat window, or you can put them actually, a better place to put your questions is actually in the Q&A box. But say hi, let me know where you're from in the little chat window, and we're going to get started now. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I am going to be sharing with you natural ways to support your immune system. And I also want to thank both Genuine Health for sponsoring this webinar this evening, and also to Healthy Planet for hosting this webinar. So make sure you stay to the very end, because I will be sharing some awesome discounts that you can get if you want to go shopping after this to Healthy Planet to get all of the wonderful things to support your immune system. So before I get right into it, I just want to introduce myself to you. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Joy. I am a holistic nutritionist here in Toronto. I am a nutrition expert on Cityline. You may have seen me on there, and also CTV. I'm a 3-time best-selling author. I have 3 cookbooks, which I'll show you in just a moment. And I'm the founder of the Joyous Natural Body Care and Hair Care line. These are my 3 best-selling cookbooks here. My most recent book, Baby, is the one in the middle. And I'm just all about feel-good food, real food, without labels. And I really believe that we can make profound change in our well-being by what we put on our dinner plate and what we put in our body. But, you know, as a holistic nutritionist, it's not just about what you eat, it's also about having a healthy lifestyle and all the things that you do to help manage stress, and how you prioritize sleep and healthy relationships. And all of these things make up a healthy whole life. So, you know, it's not just about food, and it's not just about exercise. You know, healthy, optimal health is really a holistic approach. So yeah, those are my 3 books. I also have a podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard this evening, you can find me wherever you get your podcasts. I co-host it with my husband, Walker, whose background is in kinesiology, so he's also in health and wellness. And we talk about everything from food to well-being, beauty, family, and of course, entrepreneurship, because we're both entrepreneurs. So tonight I'm going to share with you what is the immune system. If you're familiar with this, this may bring you back to like grade 12 science class, or maybe it's health class now. I don't know where they teach the immune system in high school, but I think it's really important to start out with this and really define for you what is the immune system. And then I'm also going to really dive into all the factors that lower immunity. I think it's really important to have awareness of these things, because you can take all the supplements and superfoods you want, but if you are not identifying some factors that could be lowering your immune system, then it's really hard to have really great health and, you know, fight off a cold and flu. So really pay attention to these factors that lower your immunity. It's not about perfection. What I always like to say is progress, not perfection. So, you know, if you notice that 3 of these things that I talk about are factors for you, and you're like, whoa, I never even thought about how that could impact my immune system, then you know what, that's good, because that means that you've learned something new, and you know, you can take charge of your health. Then I'm going to share with you some immune supportive superfoods. Honestly, I could talk about just that for a full hour. So what I talk about is not just limited to those foods only. So please just keep that in mind. And then I will talk about natural health supplements, and then lifestyle habits as well. Excuse me, my throat's a little dry here. So let's first identify what is the immune system. Let's get into it. So your immune system is really so fascinating. It is really complex. It is very intricate. When I was studying nutrition myself, when I was going to school, we spent weeks just studying the immune system. So I'm really condensing it down into just a few slides here. And I think it's really just enough for you to know to have, you know, a basic level of understanding. So your immune system is this like interactive network of organs and cells and proteins that protect you, basically. They're protecting, your immune system is to protect you from foreign invaders, whether that's bacteria or viruses or carcinogens, pollution, smoke, those types of things. Your immune system is for your protection. So there's actually 3 main tasks of the immune system. Number 1 is to fight disease-causing germs like bacteria and viruses, parasites, and basically remove them from the body. Number 2 is to recognize and neutralize harmful substances from the environment. And number 3 is to fight disease-causing changes in the body, such as cancer cells. So your immune system has like 2 different systems to it. You have the innate and you have the adaptive immunity. And both of these subsystems are closely linked together and actually work together synergistically whenever a germ or a harmful substance triggers an immune response. So I'm going to talk now about the immune system, the innate immune system, and then the adaptive immune system. So the innate immune system, this system provides a general defense against harmful germs and foreign substances. And it uses mostly immune cells like natural killer cells, which you'll hear me talk about a lot, and phagocytes, which are like these cells that like chew up and eat other cells. So the main job of the innate immune system is to fight off harmful substances that enter the body, and they could enter the body via your skin or your digestive system. Now, the adaptive immune system is really fascinating. This is where antibodies are made. Your immune system makes antibodies and uses them specifically to fight germs that the body has previously come into contact with. This is also known as the specific immune response. So the adaptive immune system, true to its name, is always adapting, always learning, always like updating so that the body can fight bacteria and viruses that change over time. So your body has many lines of defense. Often when we think of like our body's line of defenses, the first thing we think about is like our mucous membranes, like when we blow our nose. But there are actually many lines of defense. You have microbes all over your skin. 1 square centimeter of skin has about 1 billion microbes. So that's kind of like your first line of defense is these microbes that you actually can't even see. Then you also have another layer on your skin that is a natural oil barrier. So this is why when you shower, for example, you don't want to be using products that really clear off that natural oil barrier. And then next is your skin. Your skin is your largest organ in your body, and that is absolutely a line of defense. And how that can get broken down is things like eczema. So eczema is kind of breaking down that barrier and can make you more susceptible to, for example, a skin infection. Then, of course, there's your mucous membranes, there's your saliva, there's your gut microbiome, which is the trillions of bacteria that live in your gut, and most of them actually live in your large intestine. And they're very, very important to the health of your immune system. And of course, your whole entire GI tract, it's actually the largest barrier between you and the outside world. So just think about that for a moment. A lot of times we don't really think of our gastrointestinal system as the outside world protecting us, but it essentially is, because there's this barrier in your gut that decides on how permeable it wants to be, what it's going to let in and what it's not going to let in. So beyond this, there's millions of different kinds of immune cells: T cells, B cells, natural killer cells, macrophages, phagocytes, lymphocytes. They're all working all the time. Your immune system is constantly working to keep you healthy. But of course, sometimes your immune system, unfortunately, doesn't work so well. And we all know this because we've all had a cold or flu. And that is a sign that, it doesn't mean necessarily that our immune system is not working well, because if we get a fever, you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna get sick. Like a fever is actually a really good sign, because this means your metabolism is ramping up and the heat in your body is ramping up, so that you can more efficiently and make things like white blood cells. You can make cells of the immune system that can help you fight an infection. So sometimes your immune system doesn't work so well, and signs of a weakened immune system, I would say, are things like frequent and lengthy colds and flus. If you find that you get sick and then you get another cold like 2 weeks later when you've just gotten over, a terrible bronchitis or something. Food allergies and sensitivities and having asthma, those are actually all signs of a weakened immune system as well. Because things like food allergies and sensitivities in particular can be that barrier in the gut is weakened and has become too permeable. Skin problems, for example, like eczema. Of course, autoimmune diseases are a sign of more of an overactive immune system. And then just so you know, inflammation can really weaken the immune system. So it's really important to be aware of what you eat, because what you eat and how you live your life can impact inflammation, and inflammation is really at the root of, I think, a lot of immune problems and a weakened immune system. Okay, so let's talk about some factors that lower your immunity first. Okay, so this is my list here. I'm going to go through some of them in more detail, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get a replay of this anyway. So if I'm talking too fast, you will be able to go and watch this again. So poor sleep, stress, overuse of different pharmaceutical drugs. I think the most obvious one would be antibiotics. And I'll talk about that a little bit more, not to worry. Poor digestive health, alcohol. I apologize if you're watching this while drinking a glass of red wine. Inadequate protein intake, smoking cigarettes. I'm not going to go into detail. That's totally obvious. Every puff of cigarette smoke is about 250 chemical toxins. And of course, low water intake. A lot of people don't realize. Okay, so let's talk about poor sleep first. How many of you can tell me in the chat window, raise your hand if you are like this guy and you are on your phone at night in bed. Studies show, oh yeah, now I see all these hands raising. Oops, hang on, it's actually covering up my presentation. I have to just wait till they disappear. 1 second. I don't know if you guys can see that on your end. Yeah, so studies show that people who lack adequate sleep 6 hours or less or have disordered sleep, so that's people who don't have who don't get enough deep sleep and don't have enough REM sleep, or too much REM sleep, so that's like your dream sleep, are actually more prone to the common cold and flu. And also it's important to note that lack of sleep reduces natural killer cells activity. It suppresses interleukin-2 production and increases the levels of circulating pro-inflammatory chemicals. So essentially, immune cells are lowered when you don't get enough sleep, and inflammation is increased. So inflammation is at the root of all disease. Even with COVID, actually, inflammation is at the root of that. Because we know that people fare much worse when they have an inflammatory condition. So in a well-rested person, though, T helper type 1 cells secrete chemicals that actually support an antiviral response. So good sleep, and when I talk about lifestyle factors, I'll talk a little bit more about sleep, but good sleep, and I'll tell you, you have to hang on till I get to that section, but getting adequate sleep is so important for the health of your immune system. So lots of studies on this. There were blood samples from 11 pairs of identical twins with different sleep patterns, and it showed that the twins with a shorter sleep duration had a depressed immune system. And just this little quote here from this particular study is, what we show is that the immune system functions best when it gets enough sleep. 7 or more hours of sleep is recommended for optimal health. But you know what? You know what I say to that? Like, you kind of figure out what your sweet spot is. I can tell you that 7 hours of sleep is definitely not enough for me. And I'll tell you more about that when we get to that section. So let's talk a little bit about stress. So stress is really awful for your immune system. And cortisol, that is one of our body's main stress hormones, it just interferes. This is a well-established known fact that cortisol interferes with with your immune system to work efficiently. It's essentially, we could call it an immune suppressant. So cortisol and other hormones like norepinephrine elevation has been shown to induce like cell death of like an actual immune cells. So like your natural killer cells, for example, die off faster when you're in a chronic state of stress. And we also know, of course, which I'm sure you know, that stress, chronic stress, like acute stress is fine. I probably have acute stress right now doing this presentation, but it's no big deal. Because when I'm done, I do my meditation, I drink some tea, I talk to my husband, I go to bed, and the stress is over. But it's the chronic stress that's the problem, because it raises your inflammation, and that can lead to a weakened immune response. So lots of research on this. One from the New England Journal of Medicine showed that subjects exposed to stress showed an increased infection rate. This is the the typical common cold, from 74 to 90%. So you want to keep stress at bay, incorporating adaptogens. So adding things like smoothies to your adding things like maca to your smoothies, or deep breathing, journaling, just like making time for rest and relaxation. But I'm gonna save the rest of that talk for when I get to talking about lifestyle factors. Poor digestive system. Gut health is really at the root. Good gut health is at the root of a strong immune system. And your gastrointestinal tract is actually like an internal skin. It is the physical barrier to the outside world, but it has 150 times more surface than does the outside of your skin. But what I want you to know about the digestive system is that it contains the largest number of immune cells of your whole body. Approximately 70% of your immune system is contained within the gut. So gut health is of utmost importance when considering immune health. And over the years, I've been a nutritionist for 11 years now, and I used to have a private practice. I don't do it anymore, but I have to tell you, like, all of the clients that I used to see, the ones who had a lot of digestive problems and had a lot of stress, were always the clients who were getting sick all the time. So digestive wellness is super important. So your gastrointestinal tract basically has a really important job. Your gut has to figure out how to keep out, meaning from your body, damaging molecules and pathogenic organisms like bad bacteria, while still allowing the permeability for nutrients and food components that your body needs to survive. So this barrier is everything. It needs to decide what is good, what can come in the body, go into the bloodstream, and what not to allow in. So the barrier is everything to the health of your immune system. And what helps support that barrier are the microbes, your gut microbiome. They really work in concert with the immune cells. They have a symbiotic relationship. So I do a lot of talks just on the microbiome, and it's deeply fascinating how important it is to have the right bacteria and avoid dysbiosis, having too much of the bad stuff and not enough of the good stuff. So of course, sugar, this is probably an obvious one. We know that sugar feeds bad bacteria, like it feeds the yeast and the fungi. You've probably heard of Candida, and Candida can really weaken our immune system. Of course, we know that refined sugar interferes with the absorption of vitamin C. And vitamin C is also really important to make cortisol, interestingly. And really old research from way back when, which is, I think, what a lot of people talk about, is how sugar, you may have heard that sugar, like a teaspoon of sugar, can suppress the immune system for 4 hours. I don't know what the exact quote is, but the take-home message is that eating refined sugary foods lower your white blood cells' ability to engulf viruses and bacteria. And you may be wondering why I have a picture of gluten-free organic cornflakes and not a donut. I could put a donut there too, but you know, it just goes to show you that you really just have to read your labels. And just because it says it's natural doesn't mean that it is going to spike your blood sugar. You know, cornflakes being a super, super refined product. And all of the fiber has been stripped away, and the B vitamins and the essential fatty acids and the minerals. And, you know, the same would be true for like modern wheat, like, you know, white bread or even like whole wheat bread. So what happens when you remove that fiber, it breaks down into sugar, into glucose, and absorbed into the bloodstream really quickly, because fiber slows down digestion. It takes longer to digest, you know, brown rice versus white rice. So sugar is terrible. And of course, refined carbs are not great either. Now, it doesn't mean you, like, my daughter just had her birthday, and yeah, I made a cake, and yes, it had maple syrup. And yeah, that's like a form of sugar, but you know, it's all about evaluating what is your relationship with sugar. How often are you eating these treats? Is sugar just a treat for you and something you have once in a while? And then that's okay. But if it's something you feel like you have to have every day, then that's something I would definitely think about. Antibiotics do a really good job at killing bacteria. That is their job. But the challenge with antibiotics, even though they are life-saving and absolutely required sometimes, you know, there is absolutely a global health crisis of overuse of antibiotics, and this really can negatively impact our gut microbiome. And our microbiome is so incredibly important for a healthy immune system. So research shows that antibiotic-induced changes in a child's microbiome increase the risk for developing later life inflammatory related diseases. We also know that a baby that's given antibiotics in the first 6 months of life has a much greater risk of developing allergies and asthma by the age of 4 from one course of antibiotics. So, you know, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and she, knock on wood, has not been on any antibiotics yet. And I have to tell you, that's because, you know, when I have taken her to the doctor before for like a sore throat or whatever, I have said, you know, we have a wonderful pediatrician and they're happy to give an antibiotic just to make the parent feel better. But I always say, like, does Vienna really need this? Like, is this necessary? Or is this a point where I could just, you know, use my natural health supplements and just see how she is for a little bit, and then we decide? And always has been absolutely, yes, Joy, do that. I'd rather you do that. So I would really encourage you, before you're quick to pop an antibiotic, to, you know, really talk to your doctor, have like an open dialogue and find out, is that really what is best? And are there other things you can do? And sometimes there's not, and sometimes you have to take an antibiotic. Okay, so alcohol. Whenever I do this presentation, well, it's been a really long time since I've done a presentation in person, but whenever I do this in person and I talk about alcohol, everyone sighs and they're all like, they want to throw tomatoes at me or eggs, like, go away. You know, again, I think it comes back to things like sugar. It doesn't mean you can never drink alcohol, but being aware that alcohol definitely inhibits the ability of your immune system to function optimally, then maybe you might not drink half a bottle of wine a night, maybe just have one glass of wine. So we know that alcohol leads to nutritional deficiencies. It takes a lot of nutrients for your liver to properly detoxify alcohol, because let's face it, to the body, alcohol is a toxin. It's like a poison to the body. Your body has to detoxify. You cannot, your body cannot sustain blood alcohol levels. You will die. So your body has to use certain nutrients to help detoxify it. But alcohol just has a lot of other issues with it. If it's something that you're drinking if you're drinking alcohol every day, it can really irritate the mucosal barrier of the gut, which is, you know, the mucous membranes are all really important parts of, you know, your immune system's lines of defense. Now, damage to the immune system kind of increases to the proportion of alcohol that you're consuming. So in research, what I could find is that one drink does not really appear to bother the immune system, but 3+ drinks do. That being said, I think 3+ drinks, depending who you are, is actually a lot. As you guys might know, I really don't drink at all. But my recommendation is like no more than 1 drink a day. And if you can even limit it more than that, I think that's a great thing to do. So research has also shown that alcohol reduces the number of T cells in the body, and they're responsible for protecting the body by like identifying and then developing an immunity to particular pathogens. So that's part of your adaptive immune response. And research has also shown that alcohol impairs the function and the growth of B cells, which are responsible for making antibodies that fight infection. Okay, so inadequate protein intake, that's another factor that impacts our immune system. We need to eat protein because proteins make antibodies that fight off infection. And I have to tell you, you know, as a nutritionist over the years when I would work with clients, it was always people on a vegan or a vegetarian diet who were not eating a healthy vegan or vegetarian diet, because I have lots of vegan vegetarian friends who don't get sick and are healthy. But I would say in my practice, the ones that just were not eating enough protein because they didn't have enough variety in their diet were the ones who were always getting sick. So whether you're plant-based or you eat animal-based foods, you just want to make sure that you have variety. And by the way, you can definitely have a strong immune system and have a vegetarian or vegan diet. You just need to make sure that you eat lots of different types of protein. Animal studies have shown, for instance, that the immune system can be significantly compromised with even a 25% reduction in adequate protein intake. And then water. I'm gonna have a sip of water here. Low water intake. Not me though. I drink water all the time. Our immune system is so highly dependent on the nutrients in our bloodstream, and our bloodstream is made of mostly water. Our bodies are made of mostly water. We're like 70% water. A really great book to read, if you've not heard of it before, is Your Body's Many Cries for Water. It will like blow your mind, and you will think that water is like sipping gold. It is so important for our health and vitality. And if we don't have enough water, we just can't properly transport nutrients to each organ system. It's so essential for kidney function. It's so essential for detoxification. And your body needs water to produce lymphatic fluid, which circulates around our body, the defending white blood cells and nutrients to all of the body's tissues. As I'm talking about this, I feel like I need to keep drinking water here. And when you're dehydrated, essentially, this can dehydrate the bronchi. Your gastrointestinal lining can become more vulnerable to the onset of colds and flus. So drink lots of water. That's like such a simple habit to get into, right? And of course, it goes without saying that you want to avoid the crap diet. So chemicals, refined carbs, alcohol in moderation, and processed foods. You know, I was watching the news the other day, and I was so disheartened to see, you know, a national news show talking about, they were interviewing an infectious disease specialist and asking if nutrition makes any difference to an immune system. Should someone eat more fruits and vegetables? And they said no. And I was so disheartened by that, because there's so much research of all the different, there are over 20,000 known phytonutrients. Phyto means plant, in foods. And phytonutrients, some of their specific roles are to support the immune system. So if ever anyone tells you that changing your diet makes no difference to your immune system, just don't even listen to them, and just eat brightly colored foods. Eat, you know what, I'm jumping ahead. I'm gonna tell you what to eat in a moment. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about immune supportive superfoods. Kefir, fermented foods are awesome. So kefir, if you don't eat dairy, like me, I'm off dairy right now, you can get non-dairy type kefir. Kefir is just fermented. It's yogurt that's like on steroids, but not actually on steroids. It's yogurt that has even more fermentation, even more good bacteria. It contains lots of B vitamins, biotin, folate, and folate is really, really essential. It's an essential part of the immune system. And folate is a B vitamin, and it's essential for lymphocytes to function. And a lot of people, I would say, are deficient in this. And you've probably heard, if you've ever been pregnant or you have kids, you had to take a supplement when you were pregnant, because it is so, so important for a baby's developing nervous system, but really important for lymphocytes. And the reason people have to take a supplement is because so many people are deficient. And the reason is because when food is refined, like if you look at a grain, for example, when grains are refined, all of the B vitamins are stripped away. So you're left with like nutrient dead foods. So this is why I think a lot of people are quite nutritionally deficient if they're eating the standard American diet, what I like to call the sad crap diet, as you just saw what CRAP stands for. SAD stands for Standard American Diet. So probiotic bacteria found in kefir have been known to modulate IgA, IgG, which are immune cells, B cells, T cells, and modulate the immune response. So this comes back to like gut health, really supporting the gut health. Citrus is a great source of vitamin C. There are actually lots of foods that are a really good source of vitamin C beyond just oranges, lemons, and limes. Think broccoli and sweet peppers and kale and spinach. Basically, I want you to eat more vitamin C rich foods. And what that means is I just want you to eat more fruits and vegetables. But vitamin C contributes to the immune defense by supporting various cellular functions of both two systems within the immune system, the innate and the adaptive immune system. I like my lemon and water. I love eating oranges, but I also just eat a lot of variety of different plant-based foods. Mushrooms are amazing. They've been long known for their medicinal properties in Asian cultures. They contain beta-glucans, which have an immunostimulating effect by enhancing macrophages, which are like your Pac-Man. Their macrophages are like Pac-Man immune cells and your natural killer cells. Mushrooms are really, truly amazing. They're disease fighting, they're anti-inflammatory, they're very, very high in antioxidants that help to fight free radical damage. But guys, I want you to move beyond the white button mushrooms and, try some different types of mushrooms out there. Like I have an amazing wild mushroom soup. On my website, I have a mushroom soup. Trying to remember which cookbooks it is in. I think it's in my second one, Joy's Detox. But I really like doing mushroom soup, and I buy like dried mushrooms from my, grocery store, gourmet food store, and you just rehydrate them. Like you can see them in this picture here. And they're so delicious. They're so grounding. And mushrooms are a great source of selenium, which is a really wonderful mineral that's antiviral, supports the immune system. There's good research on selenium for cancer prevention as well, because selenium acts as an antioxidant. And what antioxidants do is they neutralize free radicals. And what free radicals do is they damage your DNA. And damaged DNA can lead to things like cancer. So mushrooms are really incredible foods. And that's why you see lots of mushroom supplements as well. Zinc is definitely an incredible mineral too, and studies show that every single cell of the immune system is affected if zinc is low. So your natural killer cells, your macrophages, your T cells, your B cells. So zinc is really important. I personally really love oysters. Sorry if some of you are cringing, but oysters are a really good source of zinc. And I know some people are taking a zinc supplement, but what I would suggest in that regard is to talk to a natural healthcare practitioner. You want to be careful with like taking bucket loads of zinc because it can offset copper. So what I would say with any supplement, and I'm going to talk more about some supplements that I take and I recommend from Genuine Health, but always like talk to a natural healthcare practitioner and find out, what is really best for you. Garlic is amazing. Traditional cultures have been using garlic to support the immune system for centuries. There's a phytonutrient in garlic called allicin, and it is a potent antimicrobial, antiviral, even has antifungal properties. And there's lots of good research on this particular phytonutrient. But one thing I want you to know from a culinary perspective, don't buy like pickled garlic. Don't buy garlic that's already like pre-chopped and been sitting in some schlop. Who knows what that is? Like buy like actual local garlic, and you want to chop it and let it sit for about 10 minutes because there's an enzyme that has to release to activate the allicin and make the allicin your body able to digest it. So chop it, buy real garlic, don't mess around, get the good stuff. because garlic has been known to stimulate immune function. Actually, I don't even like using the word stimulate, support the immune function. And there's lots of interesting research studies you can look at as well. One study gave 146 healthy volunteers either garlic supplements or a placebo for 3 months. And the garlic group had a 63% lower risk of getting a cold, and their colds were also 70% shorter. I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to like pop garlic all the time. And I remember he used to always be burping garlic. It was the funniest thing. I don't take garlic supplements, but I definitely eat garlic. I really enjoy it. Ginger is another food that has been used by traditional cultures for centuries. Ginger is very, very anti-inflammatory. You know, there's specific phytonutrients called gingerols that are found within ginger, and research shows that ginger has antimicrobial potential, also is beneficial for treating inflammatory disorders. I really like ginger for stomach issues. It helps to calm nausea, any sort of cramping. Gingerol is very, very anti-inflammatory for the digestive system and the gastrointestinal tract. I'm doing this because I'm imagining my intestines like just calming down and inflammation and cramping and stuff. So if I ever get like a stomach bug, rather than ginger ale, you know, chop up some fresh ginger. This is what I love to do. I'll put some water, I'll boil some water in the kettle. I'll chop up some fresh ginger. As I'm talking about this, I'm totally going to do this after this webinar. Chop up some fresh ginger, get a bit of like raw local honey. So I put the ginger into a hot mug of water. I just let it steep for like 10 minutes, put a little bit of honey in there. You can put some lemon if you want. That's really, really nice, especially if you have a cold. Very soothing for the throat. Turmeric. Oh, I love turmeric. Another, you know, traditional food known for its anti-inflammatory effects. And curcumin is one of the main phytonutrients. And this is actually the most studied in food science. Turmeric is actually the most studied food of all the other known foods. I think there's something like 2,500, maybe even more. Anyways, thousands of studies on curcumin over the last 2 decades to show that it's a potent immunomodulating agent that can modulate the activation of T cells, B cells, like many cells of the immune system. And what does that all mean? It means that consuming turmeric can enhance the activity of the immune system. So help you fight off bugs. And, you know, there's so many wonderful ways. I have a lot of recipes on my blog, which is joyoushealth.com. I have literally hundreds of recipes that are completely free. I create new recipes every week. I make a turmeric tea that I love to have. I have a golden turmeric latte in my latest cookbook, the Joyous cookbook. So there's lots of wonderful ways to use turmeric. And you know, this is a food that has been used in cultures for many, many years because it is truly a superfood. And then protein. I talked about earlier that protein, lack of protein, it can be a factor for a lowered immunity because the body uses protein to repair tissues, build tissues, make hormones and enzymes that promote the body's daily functions and supports a healthy immune system. And honestly, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're plant-based or animal-based, like just eat protein. So make sure at every meal and snack that you're getting a wide variety of different forms of protein. Eat colorful foods. I think this is my favorite thing to talk about when I am talking about nutrition in regards to the immune system. Color is a cue for health. You know, when I was a kid, my mom used to say, eat a rainbow. And do you remember Canada's food guide from the 80s? I was a kid in the 80s. And I remember we had the food guide up on the fridge and there's that beautiful rainbow of colors. Well, that's actually really good advice. Phytonutrients are chemical molecules that are found in plant foods. And that's what gives them their beautiful array of colors. It's due to these phytonutrients. Also, phytonutrients are what give foods their taste and their texture, but they are different than macronutrients. Macronutrients are carbs, proteins, and fats, and they're different than micronutrients. Micronutrients are, you know, your B vitamins, your vitamin A, your vitamin C, your minerals like your iron and your magnesium. Phytonutrients are this whole other class of nutrition, and scientists are still discovering more phytonutrients today. So these compounds work together to protect a plant from disease. Now, I'm going to go into a bit more detail. I apologize ahead of time for how much copy is on here, but I didn't want to forget anything. And so I just want to go into a little bit more detail about the importance of phytonutrients, because I want this to inspire you to eat more plant foods. I want you to fill at least half of your plate at every meal with more plant foods. But phytonutrients protect the plant. So environmental contaminants, elements, all UV light, pollution, bacteria, viruses, bugs, all of these things, plants are protected from phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are essentially a plant's immune system. This is why I'm such a big fan of organic farming, because we know in plants that are farmed organically, you know, aside from their micronutrients, they actually have higher phytonutrients because they have to. They have no choice. They're not being sprayed with pesticides and herbicides, so they have to have their own immune system to ward off pests and fungi. So, you know, these hazardous environmental elements will attack a plant's cell membrane, protein, DNA, causing damage, forming free radicals, and can really weaken the immune system in plants. So this is why phytonutrients are so important, because phytonutrients reduce the damage of those free radicals. But guess what? They do the same for us too when we eat them. So they are, you know, phytonutrients are stable molecules that donate electrons to the unstable free radicals to stabilize molecular and immune health. So phytonutrients are so important. So, you know, pollution, smoking, inflammation caused by a poor diet, aging are just a few examples of stressful conditions that free radicals form within the human body, which weaken our immune system, cause DNA damage. So, you know, phytonutrients, just as in plants, we benefit from the protective characteristics of phytonutrients when we consume a variety of plant-based foods. So it is truly amazing. Like I said, there's over 20,000 to date known phytonutrients in plant foods, and they are so essential for the health of a plant. So this is why eating plant foods is awesome. I'm not going to go through this whole slide. If you guys want to, when you watch the replay, these are just all different phytonutrients I wanted to list out. All you need to know is I want you guys to eat lots of colorful foods. This is the evidence for it right here. Okay, so let's talk about some natural health supplements, and then we'll wrap up with talking about some lifestyle factors as well. So I'm a big fan of Genuine Health. I've been using their products well before I even became a nutritionist. They are the original company that developed the first greens superfood powder on the market. They have, you've probably heard of Greens Plus, but Greens Plus has 9 double-blind placebo-controlled studies, many studies actually out of here in Toronto from U of T, showing how Greens Plus supports energy and vitality, and so much great research. So Genuine Health is the company that first developed that over 25 years ago. So the reason that I work with them and I recommend their products and I use their products for my family is because all of the ingredients that they use in their products are evidence-based and they're functional, and they don't just, you know, decide, oh, let's put a sprinkling of this and a sprinkling of that because it looks good on the label. Every ingredient that they have is functional and is purposeful. So I first want to ask you guys, you can type this in the chat window, but when you think about immunity, what supplements do you automatically think about? And before we get to that, I do want to say that supplements are great and supplements help to fill the nutritional gap, but supplements are not supplemental to a healthy diet. If you eat the sad crap diet and you're popping pills like nobody's business, that's not going to help you, because you probably don't have great gut health to begin with if you're eating the sad crap diet. So focus on diet first, and supplements help to fill in those nutrition gaps and really help your body support your immune system. And honestly, beyond your immune system, there's so many other things. By the way, this is going to make sense because I'm going to circle back to the phytonutrients in a moment. So when we think of immunity, though, often we think about vitamin C, oil of oregano, zinc. Like when I ask my community these questions, that's typically what people think about, but typically we only take these supplements when we are already feeling sick. So while these are all wonderful supplements, I want you to treat the cause before the symptoms arrive. This is why it's so important to put things into perspective and think about the health of our body. It's not about the germ or the virus or the bacteria. It is about the terrain, our body, and how healthy and how well equipped are we to fight off disease and infection. So that is a very empowering thought, that we are able to create a strong immune system by choosing great foods, by, managing our stress levels and making sleep a priority and taking nutritional supplements to fill in the gaps. So I really believe that we have to take the responsibility of our health in our own hands, and treat the cause before the symptoms arrive. And this goes for everything, every disease, chronic illness out there. Treat it, treat your body well, treat your body like a temple, so that you don't have to worry about signs and symptoms. So bringing this back to talking about phytonutrients. Some people will say to me, you know what, Joy, it's just really hard for me to get my kids to eat enough fruits and vegetables. Or, you know what, Joy, it's hard for me to eat fruits and vegetables. I just don't like them. Well, I would say that maybe you just need some yummy recipes. But Genuine Health does have an amazing superfood supplement that is a prebiotic, and it's a fermented organic superfood supplement with 22 plant-based organic superfoods. So prebiotics, I don't have a lot of time to go into all the details about this, but prebiotics are essentially the food for the probiotics, the gut bacteria. So the reason that these 22 superfoods have been selected for this superfood powder is because all these phytonutrients are prebiotic, and they're very high in polyphenols, and polyphenols act like prebiotics and support gut ecology. So remember, 70% of the immune system resides in the gut, and a healthy gut means a healthy immune system as well. So you can add this powder, this organic fermented prebiotic powder, to water, to smoothies, to yogurt. There is also, so that's the adult version. I collaborated with Genuine Health, and we have a kids version that is for kids age 1 and up. I put this in my daughter's smoothies. I make popsicles with it. I mix it into her porridge. And because of the fact it's fermented, it's very, very easy for kids and adults alike to digest. So when a food is fermented, the nutrients in it become more bioavailable. Think of a fermented food almost like a pre-digested food in a way. Think of cabbage versus sauerkraut, okay? So sauerkraut is soured fermented cabbage, has lots of live bacteria in it. It is way easier to digest than raw cabbage. Although some people, like myself, I actually can digest raw cabbage, no problem. But I just want to show you the difference. Like, one is fermented, super easy to digest. So in this superfood supplement, all 22 superfoods are fermented, which makes it so much easier for kids to digest and ensures that your kids are getting more fruits and veggies. Okay, so just some good research on the combination of the phytonutrient-rich foods. So all of those 22 superfoods are very, very high in phytonutrients, but a combination of phytonutrients and prebiotics have been shown to promote healthy immune function. And then probiotics. Let's talk about probiotics for a moment. 2 large meta-analyses found that a quality probiotic helped to reduce duration, frequency, and antibiotic use due to respiratory tract infection. And taking a probiotic could help Canadians shave off an average of 2.3 days off of a respiratory tract infection. This research is not on COVID, just in case you're wondering, because this came out before COVID. And that could be, why is that happening? Why does a probiotic do that? Well, we don't exactly know, but it could be because it's keeping inflammation in check. And we keep inflammation in check. This benefits the immune system greatly. So some fun facts about probiotics. Our gut microbes and our immune cells, I know I'm repeating this, but it's worth repeating, are in constant communication. And probiotics help to support our natural killer cells, which are like our frontline defenders. One study found that taking an oral probiotic, for example, when you chew, can change the microbiome all the way up to the nasal cavity. So there's, you know, we have a microbiome in our mouth. So that's why the kids' Genuine Health Probiotics is chewable, which is very beneficial for oral health as well. So a healthy gut, we know, plays a critical role in developing an immune system for adults and for kids. And we know that low levels of bifido and lactobacillus are associated with the development of allergies, eczema, and asthma in children. Oops, hang on, sorry, where did my presentation just go? I know I'm sharing my screen here, but it just disappeared. Hang on. New share. Sorry about that, guys. I hit something there. Okay, so Genuine Health, all of Genuine Health's probiotics are multiple strains because the evidence shows, so that means there's more than one type of bacteria in the capsule, and evidence shows that the different strains work together synergistically, and 75% of the studies evaluating a multi-species formula versus an individual, so just taking like Lactobacillus acidophilus, versus taking one that has 7 or more, so a multi-species, it's been shown that a multi-strain formula is actually more effective. So this is the lineup of the Genuine Health probiotics. So there's basically, there's a 15 billion, a 50 billion, there's different probiotics for women, and then there's also the kids one as well, which is a chewable, which I give my daughter every day, and I don't forget because she reminds me because it tastes so good. And all of the strains are from human origin. That's really important. They're non-GMO. They are free from any allergens. And what is nice is that they're room temperature stable because they're in a blister pack. So you don't have to put them in the fridge. So also I want to mention the Advanced Gut Probiotic for kids. So this is for age 3 and up. This is what I give my daughter, but actually we say 3 and up because we have to from Health Canada because it's chewable. But if you have a child that is younger than 3, it's really up to your discretion as a parent. Like, does your child have all their teeth? Can they chew? Like with my daughter, Vienna, she could have this. She could have had this. I mean, it wasn't out when she was 2, but she could have definitely had it at 2 years old. But we put 7 different strains to support child's gut health. And the reason that we put in, and by the way, there are 5 billion active live bacteria per capsule, but we put 15 billion in them at manufacture because you always get some die-off. But we were very specific what 7 strains that we chose, and it was based on the research that we evaluated. So like Lactobacillus reuteri, I'm not going to go through all of this, but you can just see, for example, research has shown that this particular strain has an ability to reduce absentee days from school. L. rhamnosus GG is among the most researched probiotic for promoting childhood health, immune support, and healthy development. And 3 studies involving almost 1,300 children have shown a reduced occurrence and duration of respiratory tract infections. That does not include COVID because the study was done before COVID. So this is a really well-rounded probiotic for kids. It tastes really good. I sometimes take it too because I like it so much. It tastes like lemonade. It's really good. Okay, so moving along here, I want to just talk about a couple more supplements that I think are really important. We're talking about for a healthy immune system, and that's vitamin D. I don't know if anyone takes vitamin D here. I take it every day. I have to admit I'm a little lax in the summer because I get outside in the summer, but honestly, I probably should take it through the summer because I do wear sunblock on my face. So vitamin D helps the body identify and destroy bacteria and viruses. It strengthens the barrier of the skin, which can help prevent infection. In fact, deficiency of vitamin D can show up as like dry scalp, dry skin. And vitamin D like turns on key peptides in the immune system that can help to trigger strong antimicrobial response. Deficiency in vitamin D is associated also with increased autoimmunity, as well as an increased susceptibility to infection. And you probably heard, I know everyone was going nuts about Fauci recently because in the States, because he was talking about the fact that he takes vitamin D, and that was based on the latest research, but we've known about vitamin D for many years actually. But they're now doing specific research on vitamin D as it relates to COVID. But, you know, vitamin D is actually a misnomer. It's actually not a vitamin. It actually acts as a hormone in the body. They've just never changed the name. And it regulates the expression of thousands of genes, including many of those within the immune system. And you know what? Here's the thing. Most people have low vitamin D because they don't get outside naked in the sun enough. I mean, well, maybe some of you, lie naked in the sun. But, we in Canada and the US, up to anywhere from 70 to 90% of people are deficient. In Ontario, you can pay $36 and get your vitamin D levels checked. I actually recommend doing that because then you have a better sense of how much you can supplement with. Because what Health Canada recommends is like really, really low, and you can very safely take more than that. So vitamin D, and the latest research that came out is that vitamin D can lower viral replication rates and reduce concentrations of pro-inflammatory chemicals that produce inflammation that injures the lining of the lungs, leading to pneumonia, as well as increasing concentrations of anti-inflammatory cytokines. So vitamin D is really amazing. Omega-3s, these can help fight autoimmune disease. And autoimmune disease, your immune system mistakes healthy cells for foreign cells and starts attacking them. So it's like an overactive immune system. Your body's basically attacking itself. Type 1 diabetes is a really great example in which your immune system attacks the insulin producing cells in your pancreas. So omega-3s are also really important because they're very anti-inflammatory, and they can combat some of these diseases, and may be especially important early in life for a developing baby. Studies show that getting enough omega-3s during your first year of life is linked to a reduced risk of many autoimmune diseases, including MS and diabetes. And of course, some animal studies, this doesn't always relate to humans. It doesn't, but it is telling that it could potentially boost activity in our B cells, which is a vital part of the body's immune response. So Genuine Health, of course, has, I have nothing to do with this supplement, even though it says omega-3 Joy. The reason that they called it Joy was because the research they did on it, they found that this particular level of DHA and EPA helped to improve mood and mental outlook, including seasonal blues, so, the winter blues. But what's key is that omega-3s, they are like, they put out the fire of inflammation in your body. They really, really reduce inflammation in the body. We need to eat more omega-3s. We don't consume enough. So eating things like fish, sardines, cold water fish, salmon. I actually had fish for dinner tonight. I had rainbow trout for dinner. So woohoo, I got a nice little dose of omega-3s there as well. But I still actually take a fish oil as well. And Genuine Health has really wonderful fish oils. We also have together, I have a kids line with Genuine Health. We also have a fish oil. And this is for kids aged 1 to 13. And research has shown, we know that many kids are actually deficient in omega-3, and actually kids are more deficient in DHA and EPA than adults. Obviously, when you adjust for weight and size, height, and all that, kids are still, they don't have enough, which is pretty scary when you consider the importance of a child's developing brain, from in utero to like 4 years old. So an easy way to increase EPA and DHA, which are omega-3s, is to take a fish oil. And what we've done with this particular fish oil is we have also put in 600 IUs of vitamin D. And we also put in 5.5 milligrams of lutein. Lutein is a phytonutrient that's found in leafy greens like kale and spinach. But the reason we put that in there is because research shows that kids are not eating enough kids are not eating enough vegetables, period. But children are not eating enough green vegetables, and we need lutein for healthy eyesight, eye health. And lutein is really important to combat the negative effects of blue light, which is why I'm wearing my blue light blocking glasses. So a lot of children spend a lot of time on screens. So that's why we put the lutein in there. I just noticed the time, I'm gonna have to hurry up. Okay, so what do you do if you get sick? Some other supplements I really like. I love elderberry. I love oil of oregano. It's like nature's antibiotic. I just like the feeling of oil of oregano, and my throat is getting itchy. So this is a very short section, and then I will take a little bit of time to answer a few questions. But I think this is just as important as all the supplements I talked about are the immune supportive lifestyle habits. Sleep. Okay, so you want to aim for 7 as an adult aim for 7 hours of sleep per night. You find what your sweet spot is. My sweet spot is about 8+ hours. I like my sleep, but sleep is so important. There's so much research that shows that it's important for healthy mood and creativity. Your brain literally detoxifies at night. Your neurological cache is literally cleared out when you sleep. So reduces the risk of brain degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Also, sleep is so important for children to take things they're learning in school, take that short-term memory and convert that into long-term memory. That is what happens at night. So that memory gets filed away, those short-term memory. Maybe you have a kid learning their 12 times table in school. So they learn that with the flashcards, and then when they sleep, the brain then commits that to a long-term memory. So obviously we already talked about, when I talked about what lowers your immune system, lack of sleep. So, you know, support the health of your immune system. This is my weak point for sure. The only time I really get sick, I don't get sick very often, but 2 things for me: if I don't get enough sleep and I'm feeling stressed out. And it's kind of funny because a couple of years ago, I went on a speaking tour and there was something going on in my life personally that I was really stressed about. And I actually completely lost my voice. I got laryngitis. And it was literally because I was just so stressed at the time. And then stressing about traveling and having to speak so much, and I lost my voice. How ironic. I'm going on a speaking tour. But sleep and stress are a big one for people. So how can you get a better sleep naturally? Limit alcohol. Even though alcohol may relax you, it actually kind of backfires because it messes with your blood sugar metabolism. You have to wake up to go pee. It lowers your metabolism. So avoid things like alcohol, and then avoid, of course, stimulants like refined sugar before bed. Avoid bright lights and technology before bed. Wear blue light blocking glasses if you must teach your webinar like I'm doing right now. Create a evening wind down routine. I have a thing on my phone that I wonder if it's already reminded me. Yeah, see, this is not good. Bedtime's approaching. I got this message 45 minutes ago telling me that now is the time to start winding my body and mind down. So winding down is really important. A lot of people think winding down means when you get into bed. No, when you get into bed, you want to sleep. So create a wind down ritual. Maybe that's meditation, maybe that's making a tea, maybe that's reading a book, but wind down, you know, at least 1.5 hours to 2 hours before bed. And another way to get a really great sleep is to make sure that you and your kids are active during the day. Being active during the day really helps you get a better sleep at night. Which takes me to, I'm almost done here, the importance of daily movement. So moderate exercise has been shown to be immunoenhancing, which is pretty cool. So 30 minutes, 3 to 5 times per week can really support the immune system. A 30-minute walk has been shown to cause modest and short-lived changes in immune parameters, most notably for neutrophil and natural killer cell counts. So being active helps to support your immune system, but not too much, because research actually shows that too much activity increases inflammation. Inflammation can lower the effectiveness of the immune system. So make movement a daily habit. This is my daughter here. Just a couple of weeks ago playing with the ball. She gets so red-faced when she runs around. It's so cute. But research shows that regular exercise can really help the function of the neutrophils, which help kill unwanted or dangerous microorganisms that can negatively affect our health. So, you know, you decide what that looks like for you. I just recommend that every day you do something that involves movement. That's really key. And getting outside in nature too. Like when you get outside in nature, there's so many benefits, especially for your microbiome, especially for children, because you are exposed to, you know, more foreign molecules and microbes outside in nature than you are indoors. So especially, I think throughout this pandemic, a lot of people have been spending time indoors, and that's actually not ideal. Our body, our biology is ancient, and we are meant to be moving, and we are meant to be outside in nature. Nature really nurtures our human body. Even just breathing in The naturally essential oils in the environment in a forest are so supportive for our cardiovascular health, breathing in those microbes, especially for young children, being exposed to those, foreign, like the pollen and all that, helps children be less reactive as they get older if they're exposed to those things when they're younger. So from when Vienna was born, like I took her out into High Park on like the 3rd day of her life, because I know the importance of exposing her to those microbes. So stress, you want to make stress reducing habits part of your daily routine. So whatever that looks like for you, that could be going outside in nature. That could be, diaphragmic breathing, or maybe you're into Wim Hof breathing. Also, there's a whole thing I could talk about like cold and hot showers. Those types of things have been known to support the immune system. I'm a really big fan of meditation for reducing stress. And I really find that meditation for me just creates a lot more space in my brain. And also if I'm feeling anxious, like I did a meditation right before I joined you guys this evening, because it just helps me feel calmer and more relaxed. And stress is pro-inflammatory. Meditation is anti-inflammatory. Just breathing, taking 10 deep diaphragmatic breaths moves you from sympathetic nervous system mode, that's that fight, flight, or freeze mode, to parasympathetic nervous system mode, which is the rest and digest mode you want to live in. So I know I already talked about this. I just really love talking about nature. Get a daily dose of nature. Combine nature with movement every day. I recommend, I have a challenge for you guys. Get outside in nature for the next 30 days for 30 minutes every single day. Do it. Your mood will be boosted. Your immune system will be supported. You'll feel good. Your circulation will feel great. You'll probably poop more regularly because you're just moving more. Nature has so many benefits to offer us. It's completely free. And there's a lot of incredible research on the benefits and the healing benefits of nature. And finally, make time for fun and play and joy. Laugh, spend time with people you adore, or maybe it's having a FaceTime or a Zoom call with them if you have to be distanced from them. Positive emotions are associated with laughter. They decrease stress hormones that can weaken immunity, and they increase or activate certain immune cells. So feelings of joy really help your overall well-being. So as you guys can see, it is truly a holistic approach. It's not just about nutrition. It's not just about supplements. It's not just about nature. It is a truly holistic approach. If you find this information overwhelming, just take a step back and digest it and realize you can start with just one thing. If you're not doing any of these things, just start with one thing tomorrow. Maybe that means you're gonna make a smoothie and you're gonna put lots of colorful foods in it because you know you're gonna get more phytonutrients that support your immune health. Maybe you're gonna go and instead of, walking your dog on the normal route around, the residential area, maybe you take your dog to a park where you're in a green space. So there are so many things that we can do to really support the health of our body and not feel anxious about what is going on in the world, because we are responsible for our health. So I know I talked about a lot of information here. You will get the replay, but I also want you to know that if you go to bjoyo.us/immune system, you can download a handout that I created for you. You don't have to enter your email address or anything. It just downloads directly to your computer. And it's a 2-page handout of some of the things that I talked about, not in as much detail, of course, but yeah, go download that. Also, I want to let you know at Healthy Planet, you can get 20% off of all of the Genuine Health products. I love making breakfast smoothies. I use their fermented organic vegan protein. I give my daughter the full kids line. So all the products there are 20% off right now. And also Genuine Health has a special offer that the first 9 people to place an order for all 3 of the kids products. So that's the probiotics for kids, the gut superfoods for the kids, and the fish oil. If you order all 3 of those, then you will receive a So Young lunch bag. My daughter has this one. It's so cute. This is made by a Canadian designer. It's sustainable materials. But in order to be eligible, you need to write webinar attendee in the comments section of your order. So just remember that. First 9 people to place an order for the kids line, write in the comments section of your order that you're a webinar attendee, and they will also ship you the So Young bag if you're eligible. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending this evening. If you would like to connect with me and learn more, as I mentioned, I have a podcast. I also have a blog, which is joycehealth.com, where I share new content every single week. I have an amazing recipe coming out tomorrow for a plant-based eggplant lasagna. It will like blow your mind. It's so delicious. And my husband, who's like super skeptical about that kind of stuff, he was like blown away too. He's like, wow, this is like really good. Because I actually didn't use ricotta, dairy cheese. I did a totally plant-based eggplant lasagna. But anyhow, I'm always creating content and recipes and healthy living inspiration that is completely free. So you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, Pinterest. I don't even know what, oh, that's the podcast symbol. Podcast. I also, every week I upload a new video to YouTube as well. So there's many ways to connect with me. Now I'm just going to go to the Q&A. I'm just going to check the time here. Okay, so I'll be able to answer for about 10 minutes here because there's a lot of questions and more questions that I won't be able to get to all of these questions. So, okay, so let me just look at them now. Now I need my actual glasses on. These are just my blue light blocking glasses. Okay, so some of these questions are very, very specific about people's specific health. So just so you know, I'm not going to answer those because I just want to stick to the questions that are more general that can benefit everyone that's here. So if you have a question that's very specific to your health issue, not necessarily related to this presentation tonight, you can always feel free to reach out to me on social media. Yeah, so Valentino asked, can we consider quercetin and astragalus as good supplements to support the immune system? Yeah, those are both great. Quercetin, in fact, is like quite antiviral. Quercetin, you would find, quercetin is a phytonutrient, and you would find that in things like onions and apples. So eat those foods. So very anti-inflammatory, a great phytonutrient. Astragalus, I think there's astragalus in actually St. Francis Deep Immune, which is a really good tincture that I also take. Okay, I'm just reading these. I don't know if you guys can see these comments, these questions. I'm just kind of flipping through them here. So someone asked, are my cookbooks vegetarian? I have predominantly vegetarian recipes, but I also have, you know, fish tacos and other foods. So I would say about 80% of all 3 of my cookbooks are vegetarian, but I do have animal-based recipes too. So there's a couple of questions, similar questions about people with autoimmune diseases and how they can support their immune system without fueling their autoimmune disease. So that is a really good question. And you do have to be careful with things like taking different herbs and different supplements. And because that is a very specific question, I would actually recommend that you talk with a natural healthcare practitioner. And in the meantime, you know, review all the superfoods I talked about and really just use food to support your immune system and really focus on the lifestyle factors I talked about and only use supplementation when it comes to when you've actually discussed with a natural healthcare practitioner like a naturopath or a nutritionist who can advise you specifically. When it comes to genuine health supplements, like the gut superfoods, which is the 22 superfoods, the probiotic supplement, that would like be one that's very safe that I would recommend. But other than that, I'd recommend to speak with someone. What was the name of the book you mentioned about water? Your Body's Many Cries for Water. The author's name, I cannot pronounce it. I'm not going to try to. So just Google Your Body's Many Cries for Water. Do ordinary white mushrooms have any value? Yes, they do. I know I kind of like threw white button mushrooms under the bus. But they're not going to be as potent as like shiitake mushrooms or chanterelles. And also remember, you want to have variety too, right? You just don't want to always eat the same kind of mushrooms all the time. This is a really good question. How good is powdered turmeric and ginger? Well, it depends on the product, the brand. You know, there's really good brands of like Chaz Organics, for example, is a brand I really like, of organic turmeric. And, you know, if it's a really good quality, it's just ground, it's just dried turmeric or dried ginger, organic, that's just ground, dried into a powder. So it can actually be just as beneficial as eating it fresh. And it can be hard, like turmeric's a harder one to find at the health food store for sure, like raw turmeric root, depending where you live. Ginger is usually pretty easy to find, but you know, you can definitely use powdered. I always have powdered in my kitchen. I have both powdered ginger and powdered turmeric, just in case I don't have it. I don't have the fresh. What's the best way to store and keep ginger and turmeric? Don't put it in the fridge, because the dampness of the fridge makes it grow mold. So it's best to store it like how you would store onions or potatoes. You know, in like a cool, dark place, but not damp. Is it better to eat foods cooked, steamed, or raw? Well, I think that really depends on you and your digestive health. I think it's a good idea to eat a variety. You know, I know some people are all about raw food, but then there's some foods that the nutrients are more bioavailable when you cook them a little bit. So I'm not extreme in any way. What I would say is that eat a variety. Like I eat a raw salad every single day. But I then also eat cooked foods. You know, I had some cooked vegetables at dinner time. So there isn't one way that is better than another way. I would just say what's key is to eat lots of variety. I see lots of you guys sharing here the different supplements you take, which is great. What supplements do you recommend for my 16-year-old son? Maybe you asked that question before I talked about supplements. So hopefully you have some ideas there. Amla berry, yes, I like it. I don't know a ton about it. I know it's high in vitamin C, but I'm not super well versed on any studies on it. I would have to go and like look it up, because there's so many superfoods out there, and that's just one that I'm not like using very much right now. Hang on, my cursor's going wonky. Yes, so some of the products, some of Genuine Health products are sweetened with a bit of stevia, and some of them are sweetened with monk fruit. But with the kids' products especially, it's like very, very mild. And the products do not contain gluten. Oops, what just happened here? Sorry, hang on. Oh, it's okay. I just thought I lost. Sharing is paused. Sorry guys, hang on. I don't know how to get this back. Resume share. Oh, you guys can still hear me, I assume? I don't know what just happened. I don't know how to get this back. Let me just go down here to this one slide that I'll leave on here about the discount. Bring your window to the front. Sorry, one sec. I'm just trying to troubleshoot here. Hopefully you can you guys see that now? I assume you can. Okay, sorry. I just thought I would leave that up so you guys can see the discount there. Is it good to take probiotics every day, or can damage natural bacteria in your gut? I like to take breaks from time to time from any supplement I'm taking. So I think that's really up to you. Let me just say that it's safe to take probiotics every day, but it's also fine to take a break from time to time. Yeah, carrots are high in vitamin C as well. What's the best time before or after meals to take with a probiotic? So when it comes to your supplements, unless you know your natural health care practitioner or it says right on the bottle you must take with food, a lot of supplements it doesn't really matter. Some supplements, like there's different herbals and stuff, like different herbs for the immune system that can like be a little bit bothersome for the gut if you don't take it with food. But probiotics, it doesn't actually really matter. Most of them do not break down from the stomach acid. For example, Genuine Health has a prebiotic. The probiotic has prebiotics in it that have a delayed release. So the probiotic doesn't break down and get destroyed by your stomach acid. So it doesn't matter if you take it before a meal or after a meal. So Andrea, hopefully that answers your question. Lisa, that's a similar question. Should you take it in morning or evening? Doesn't really matter. Where can you get your vitamin D level checked? You have to get it checked from your doctor. So here in Ontario, it's $36. So just call up your doctor and tell them you want to get it tested. They may be hesitant because of the fee, and just let them know, you just say, I know it costs money. I'm prepared to pay it. I would like to have a test, because it's not covered by OHIP unless you actually, unless your doctor decides that you have like rickets or you have a deficiency of vitamin D, then it's covered, but it's just worth it to pay. How do we choose between the 15 or 50 billion probiotic? I would suggest, if you're new to probiotics, to start with 15 and just see how your body feels. 50 billion is more of a therapeutic dose. So if you've been on a course of antibiotics, for example, then 50 billion would probably be better to start with. I'm just reading a longer question here. So someone is just asking about their husband, that he is a smoker, a poor sleeper, his joints are inflamed and ache, and he has indigestion and his mood is affected. I want to help boost his immunity so he can recover quickly. Please make a recommendation as to what I can do to boost his health. Well, I hope this entire presentation you share this with him, because I think I've answered that question. So that's a good question. Someone asked about hand sanitizers. Yeah, the kids are having to sanitize their hands a lot. So in my family, like, I'm sensitive to eczema, and so is my daughter. So I actually just let my daughter's school know that because Vienna is so sensitive to eczema, and when you're using hand sanitizer all the time, this happened to me at the beginning of this pandemic. I was like breaking out in terrible eczema. So I would suggest just talk to your child's teacher and let them know that you would rather your child just use a natural hand sanitizer. So I send my daughter to school with like Dr. Bronner's or Green Beaver hand sanitizer, because it's a little more gentle than those like gel-based ones that really do strip away all the good and bad bacteria. Like hand sanitizer, of course, is beneficial because it's killing bacteria, but it can really, really wreak havoc on your skin health. In terms of vitamin D, dosage recommendations, you should talk to your own natural health care practitioner about how much you need if you have a chronic disease. So I'm going to defer that to someone you can ask very specifically. Oh, I just realized, I think I was supposed to be hitting answer live these questions. Maybe you guys can't see these questions. Well, at least I'm reading them to you. Can you give the Gut Superfoods regular version to kids? Yes, you can. So the difference between the kids and the adult, the kids is as a smaller scoop, so it's the right serving size, and it's different flavor. So it's a flavor that, it's a great flavor. It's really yummy. But yes, you could give the Gut Superfoods adult to kids. You just like make the serving a little bit smaller. Okay, I'm just gonna take one more question here. So many good questions here. Can the adults take the children's probiotic chewables on a regular basis? You can if you want. I totally do it sometimes because it tastes so good. I mean, obviously it's only 5 billion. 5 billion is like the ideal. So when we looked at the research, most of the research for kids is between 5 and 10 billion. Research on probiotics for kids does not support massive volumes for effectiveness. So that's why we chose, based on all the research, 5 billion. So if you're taking it as a parent, you might want to take a little bit more. It's a smaller dose, but it's not good for you. So you totally can take it. So everyone, thank you so much for attending tonight's webinar. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please know that you can connect with me outside of this webinar, and be sure to take advantage of the 20% off all of the Genuine Health products, not just the ones that I talked about. And I really hope you stay healthy and happy, and I hope that you found this information inspiring and empowering. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful evening and have a good sleep. Bye, everyone.